Okay, so this past weekend we finally got hands on with the Modern Warfare 2 closed beta. It was essentially the beta weekend for a PlayStation platform. I got basically an early access code from Xfinity. A big shout out to Xfinity Rewards. And yeah, I jumped in, checked it out, and it was a good time. So, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the newest entry into a long running series that has spawned both countless entries, pro players, content creators, and just as bad as many sponsorship deals as both, creators and pro players. But this time around, we are seeing the remake, not a remaster. That's something completely different that was made before, actually. But a remade, reimagined version of the trilogy that made Call of Duty a household name a decade ago. Now, I've been around the COD community since the days of COD 4 on Xbox 360, so I've seen a ton of trends and game mechanics come and go. Now, while MW2 brings the newest version of the Call of Duty game engine and netcode for a fun, fast pace, kill everything that moves online experience, does the game still feel the same fundamentally? Is the weapons and maps still reminiscent of the old original MW2? Or has Infinity Ward just used the old nostalgia trick to persuade people into paying $70 for the next year's worth of content? In this video, we'll be looking at just that. So, what is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? Well, it's a remake and very reimagined version of the story of Modern Warfare 2, the second in a trilogy of Modern Warfare titles that on Xbox 360 revolutionized the industry by making the modern era military be playable. At the time of the original first two Modern Warfare games, the gaming market was swarmed with both space age shooters and World War II era shooters, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare and MW2, as we called it back then, changed that with current modern era weapons, which, like in this beta, we still see those weapons now. From the M4A1 to the AK-74U to the classic shotgun, all the weapons are here in MW2 Remake, except for my 1911 pistol, which is a signature of mine that is for some reason missing from the beta. But anyways, so if you're asking the question, is this the original MW2? No, it was never supposed to be or marketed as such. From day one, both MW 2019 and MW2 were supposed to be remakes of the original, meaning, changing but keeping similarities to the first games. Again, it's not a remaster, which would just be updating graphics and porting the games to modern hardware. Instead, we get new maps and most likely some updated old school favorites from the original OG MW2 days. Because it's Call of Duty, they always recycle at least a few maps in one form or another. But also, we get a brand new story mode following a new take on the Captain Price character and his crew, which should be a fun, movie style ride on the same level of the cinematics as MW 2019, which is also following the same story as MW 2019. It's a continuation of it. Cool. Mix that with new game modes in online that I will be going over in just a bit. And you have was essentially a brand new upgraded, not just updated version of MW2. Again, not bad for the price of $70. So next up, the game modes. So we're going to start off with each of the game modes in the sequence that they showed up on the list of available game modes. So starting off with Quick Play. It was a custom playlist of both TDM and Domination, which I like to use because I like to stick with, TDM and use that to get kills, kill streaks, and ultimately unlock the season pass and guns, and maybe get some, weapon camos later on when the full game releases, which camos were missing, or at least I didn't see them in the beta. So to move on to the next mode on the list, third person Mosh Pit. It's a game mode in which anyone that plays the likes of Fortnite, PUBG, or maybe remembers the old MW2 third person mode from the old school days, you're going to feel right at home here. It works well in my experience with minimal camera jitter or glitchiness. The camera did not fly all over the place, so that was cool. It really feels similar to that of Fortnite. If you are coming from Fortnite or the Call of Duty, you're just wondering and you want to check out MW2, third person mode might actually be the mode for you because it's going to feel the most at home. In the beta, we've seen TDM, Domination, Hardpoint, so all game modes seem to be available if you're feeling in the mood for some third-person action. Next up, Search and Destroy. It's a classic game mode that once again returns. It's, of course, that R6 Siege kind of feeling mode where respawns are turned off and the match pace tends to slow down a bit. The teamwork aspect of it will be more of a focus in this game mode, or at least, Call of Duty standards of teamwork. One team defends 2 bomb sites, and the other team tries to plant a detonator and blow up the bomb sites. The biggest new feature that caught my attention was the actually kind of cool helmet cam that looks, just like, helmet cam footage that you'd see around YouTube or in training videos. It should make for some really cool moments and fun replay moments for Call of Duty tournaments, and for the commentators to get some hype viewpoints of the action. Next up on the list is Prisoner Rescue. It is a new mode this year where once again respawns are disabled. Actually, all the modes outside of TDM and Domination have respawns totally disabled. So come to think of it, this mode also has a ton of gadgets that you can end up playing around with. Well, the game MW2 overall has a ton of gadgets that are very similar to R6 Siege. So like the sticky cam and grenades that blow up through the walls. Anyway, Prisoner Rescue is just that, a mode where one team defends a prisoner and the other tries to run the football, if you will, and rescue said prisoner. Also very similar to Hostage Rescue on R6 Siege. Again, sorry, but damn, COD, trying to really copy pasta that R6 Siege. Anyways, next up, we had the last game mode called Knockout, where 2 sides fight over control of a package that looks like a backpack, basically, and whichever team holds it the longest wins in the scoreboard. So both Prisoner Rescue and Knockout teammates can, revive each other. So strats of both run and gun and teamwork are both encouraged tenfold in each of the game modes. So next up, I wanted to go in 3 goods and 3 bads. We'll start off with the goods. So when it comes to goods, I would say the overall gameplay hook of unlocking the main base of the weapons and then unlocking attachments to make your weapons more powerful, stable to fire, and, well, look kind of cool was a nice addition to the overall, making the one mores happen, where each game you tend to unlock a few different things to further your progress through the weapon trees. The more weapons you use, the more attachments you'll get for all your guns overall in the categories, like assault rifles and SMGs. So it pushes you to want to try all the weapons, not just stick with one gun the whole time. Meta be damned, almost. And what I mean by one mores is you do one match, you unlock a few things. It gives you that enticing feeling of, maybe if I just do one more, I'll get a couple more things unlocked. Maybe I'll just do one more with this other gun, and then I get all this other stuff unlocked. So it's a continuous flow of just like, just one more match, which is exactly what Call of Duty and really any multiplayer game really is striving to do, to get you to keep going and going and going. So another good is the netcode. It seems to be running smooth, at least for this beta. There was no real apparent lag issues on my end to the servers, at least. So they have all the information that you can put up on the screen, your lag, latency, and all that. If the packet loss is 0 and the latency is hovering around 40 to 80 ms, that's a good feeling match on any game, whether it be a fighting game to a shooting game to whatever the case may be, even a battle royale. So you will see occasional spikes, but that's normal, especially when it comes to large explosions or the map having a lot of stuff kicking up and around. That's very normal that you're going to have a little bit of latency spikes. It's trying to do all that data on every single player as they're all running around the battlefield, or the match arena, if you will. Everybody is going so quickly. Yeah, you're going to have some spikes. So the last really solid takeaway from the MW2 beta was the feel of the gunplay. With all weapons, there was a noticeable bit of weight and punch to each gun, the kind that is always well done in Call of Duty. You can move and zip around the map, but also the quickness of the character movement and the low time to kill make for quick, snappy engagements. It feels like an updated version of MW 2019, and there's really nothing wrong with that. MW 19 or Modern Warfare 2019, gunplay wise, was a really solid game already. So MW2 takes it a step further, of course, with all the updates and upgrades to the game engine. And yeah, with all the updates to the gunsmith, I mean, it really drives home the fact that each gun you can make your own, and you will also have a very good experience using those weapons. So now on to the bads. There's a few things in the beta that I definitely feel like could have used a little bit of a touch up. Some of the frustrations of MW2 was, well, smaller things that can be addressed with updates, update patches easily in the coming months. The game launches next month, so hopefully the day one patch, they can squeeze some of this stuff in, but probably not everything will be fixed up. There seem to be a lot of silent footsteps now, whether this is from perks or the audio engine acting up and glitching out. It was hard to tell, where there was a noticeable amount of missing footsteps from players that had a ton of hit markers. So if I'm shooting at somebody and I'm getting a bunch of hit markers, there was a pretty good solid chance that, yes, there was going to be no footsteps also. This is something that Call of Duty has been suffering with for the last few games, not just with Modern Warfare 2019 or this specific version of the engine. It's something that the Call of Duty team has been working on. But the sound issues could be a side effect of players having high latency connections, which, you can find a few players in each lobby. With 12 players in each lobby, there's probably at least 2 or 3 that it's going to have a bad connection. It's just the way things work online. Fortunately, though, the netcode seemed to help with these slower connections, and the players with extra hit markers seem to be less likely to happen than it was in MW19. So definitely, they are a noticeable presence, but at the same time, it was, less than what we've seen in, say, Cold War or MW 2019. Even Vanguard, Vanguard had a ton of hit markers from players just having really slow, latency ridden connections. Packet loss is a thing, But talking about hit markers is the reason why the time to kill is so slow and low in modern Call of Duties. It's to counteract the low end, Wi-Fi connections that plague online nowadays. Whether it be shooters or whether it be fighting games or battle royales, you name it, you're gonna see Wi-Fi players, and there's only so much you can do about it on the netcoding. So also a big one, if you're playing online, I beg of you, plug your in. It not only helps with in-game netcode problems on both ends of you and your opponent, but also you'll be able to download updates and DLC faster. And we all know Call of Duty has a giant amount of updating to do. So get yourself a cord, plug yourself in wired. I beg of you. Everybody begs of you. Even the developers beg of you. Even your teammates beg of you. Just do it. So, outside of the normal gripes that pop up in Call of Duty for years now, there was nothing really too severe in MW2 that can't be ironed out in future patch updates. Before you start yelling about skill-based matchmaking, I will say this. With so many different lobby situations, groups of players and people with different ranks and playing together, where one player might be level 1 and their buddies might be level 20 or 50 or something, do you really think skill-based matchmaking is really a major deciding factor on who is in a lobby of 6 to 12 players when maybe 4 or 5 of them might be actually grouped up into one lobby already, pre-made lobby? I don't think skill-based matchmaking is going to be having such a dramatic effect like people try and make it out to be on social media. One final gripe I did have, though, is I'd like to see the unlock order of gun attachments be changed. You have to use 2 different weapons sometimes to get a decent grip, say, for a gun, or a different scope for a gun, or a different, like hand grip on it. It just seems like a little bit overkill, where some things are so far ahead in the unlock tree that you have to go through like 3 different guns just to get one thing unlocked. Where I do like the unlock tree, I just think the order of things could be a little bit better. and maybe just get something to make your gun shoot a little bit more straight, a little bit quicker in that unlock order. But overall, though, with all the game modes, unlocks, and weapons to master and maps to learn, I think MW2 is shaping up to be a pretty fun ride with the story mode. I can't wait to see what happens with both Price and the crew and the characters that end up dropping into Warzone 2.0. That's a good segue into another video for another time. So with all that, I will say I will definitely check out Warzone 2.0 for sure. And I am actually looking forward to the launch night of both the story mode and the multiplayer for MW2 remake, if you want to say that. So make sure and sub, like, and share and ring the bell and all that stuff so you can get alert for future videos. And of course, I'll be back with Warzone 2.0 coverage. And go check out the rest of the channel over on Twitch, all that good stuff. Warwolf and Tone Wolf also, if you want to see some music covers. So with all that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And as always, I will see ya next time.